Hello there, this is Mr. U.S. History, and in the election of 1860, we've got Abraham Lincoln elected as the President of the United States. Now, that election featured a four-way race between Abraham Lincoln and two Democrats, as well as the Constitutional Union Party. There were two Democrats because there was a split between the Southern faction, which favored secession from the Union if Lincoln was elected, while the Northern Democrats, who favored the preservation of the Union, but still allowing the institution of slavery to expand westward. The Constitutional Union Party supported slavery, but mostly just supported it basically consisted of pro-slavery unionists. So, what in the actual map? This was the map. You had the Southern Democrats, led by Breckinridge, sweep the entire South. Now, you may see states like Louisiana would show Breckinridge plus 4.9, but note that that's only his margin over Bell, and Lincoln's name wasn't even on the ballot in any of these southern states. And if his name was on the ballot, he wouldn't even be cracking 30% of the vote. So therefore, I can easily say right now that if Lincoln just faced one Democratic opponent, all of the South would have, or every single slave state would have gone to the Democrats by a safe margin. Now, who would this Democrat be? I would think it would be James Guthrie. James Guthrie. He was the hold on a second. He was the no, not this guy. Hold on. Yeah, he was the Secretary of the Treasury under Franklin Pierce, and he was a pro-union. He was a pro-union Democrat who was also a slave owner, and not to mention the fact that, in fact, Bell, Breckinridge, and Douglas, they also held a meeting, and Breckinridge and Bell, they were willing to drop out if Douglas would also, so that they could have another person who could unify the anti-Lincoln vote, but Douglas ultimately refused. So had Douglas accepted, I'm pretty sure James Guthrie would be the nominee for the Democrats. But this is just hypothetical, by the way. So now we get into the northern states. Let's first focus on the west coast with Oregon and California. If you look at the map, Lincoln won these states very narrowly, winning California by a tilt margin, even though both Breckinridge and Douglas performed strongly, so I can easily say that the Democrat would carry California by a likely margin. Same with the state of Oregon. And next, we move on to the state of, let's go to the Midwest. Minnesota, like, generally you can expect these states. And by the way, just to mention, there were also several fusion tickets, such as in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. So I'm certain that in Minnesota, Lincoln would easily win, same as in Michigan, yeah. In Minnesota, Lincoln would easily win. Same as in the state of Iowa. So, yeah, in many of these Midwestern states, you had fusion tickets. In Illinois, Lincoln was able to narrowly win over Stephen Douglas, so this would be a lean margin, while in Wisconsin, he also was able to win there against just one opponent. Indiana, he faced all three of his opponents, but even if you combine Douglas and Breckinridge's votes, that's still not enough, though it would be a lot narrower. As the state of Ohio, Ohio, same thing. If you combine Bell, Breckinridge, and Douglas's votes, it's still not enough, but I'm pretty sure Ohio would still go by a likely margin. Now we move to the Northeast. So the state of Pennsylvania, I'm pretty sure it would still be decided ultimately by a solid margin. Safe. And then the state of or actually maybe Pennsylvania is likely. And the state of New Jersey, it went to Douglas, nevertheless. So I'd say New Jersey is a lean for the Democrat, as is the state of New York. New York is also likely for Lincoln because if you look at it, it actually went to Lincoln by 7 points. And then this entire Northeast, solid for Lincoln, because there's a lot of abolitionist sentiment in this area. So there you go. This is the electoral map. Abraham Lincoln still wins. Not to mention that he would probably get more than this even still because New Jersey didn't really have a winner-take-all system. So I'm pretty sure the ultimate margin, so let's go here. 1860 presidential election. Yeah, Lincoln got 180 electoral votes. In this scenario, I am pretty certain that he would get 7 less electoral votes. meaning he would be at 173 electoral votes. Still a big victory if you consider, and the Democrat would be somewhat more narrow, but still a loss is a loss, and the Civil War and the end of slavery would have still happened. So the idea that Lincoln would have lost if the Democrats had unified behind a single candidate, that is plain and simply false, because the Democrats really had no solid support outside of the South, and Lincoln was and many of the states in the North had fusion tickets rather than the vote being split, and even if you combine the vote, Lincoln would still win. So I can say with certainty that even if the Democrats had all got behind one candidate, Lincoln would still win the election of 1860. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. So thanks.